It's a press conference, all right. And it's Trump being all him all the time. A doozy was this press conference. First having the president of SoftBank there with a $100 billion investment into the United States. It's going to make you feel good. And while he's there, he's like, can I get you to make it $200 billion? And the guy's like, well, maybe. Everybody's playing the game. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Find everything going on at TonyKatz.com. That's what you should do immediately. If not sooner, head over there. The other part of this press conference was interesting because there's Trump talking about drones.
Yeah. Can you comment on the drones that are flying around New Jersey ports? It seems like the American people have a big disconnect.
The government knows our military knows where they took off from. If it's a garage, they can go right into that garage. They know where it came from and where it went.
The government knows what these drones are. They know where they came from, where they went. Oh, okay. Well, if the plan was to feed into the idea that that everything is unknown and mystical, you know what I mean? Trump just took that away. Oh yeah, we're doing it to ourselves. Now the question, of course, is why? Our government knows what is happening. Our military knows where they took off from. They know where it came from and where it went. Oh gosh, it's gonna be a day. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. What are you doing? 833-GOT-TONY. 833-468-8669. That's how you get to be a part of the show. I mean, I've got the full presser. I recorded the thing. I know. I've got a lot of free time. The problem is I didn't know how the sound quality was. For whatever reason, every time he speaks at Mar-a-Lago, they've got the crappiest microphones in the history of mankind going on over there. So let's try.
It's amazing. It's a great gentleman, a great leader, and a great investor. So to have that offer made, and we have so many companies coming in now that will be announcing, or that will announce themselves. You don't have to be with them to do it, but they'll be announcing. And as I said, small business optimism took a 41-point jump. 41 points. It went up 41 points. That's unheard of. And that's the biggest, they think, in recorded history, but they know at least a minimum of 39 years. So that's great. But on behalf of the American people, I want to thank Masa for his faith in what's happening with our country and what's happening with the world. There's a whole light over the entire world. Many people, some reporters, in speaking to them, they said, it actually is true.
Now, on this, Trump gets to crow a bit. Consumer confidence is up. There is a belief that things will get better, and very often that's all you need. You just need people to buy into the idea that things are going to move in the right direction, and it will. The feeling, the optimism is everything, is all things, and you can't say enough about it. That the optimism is there.
A couple of them are not necessarily friends of mine, but they said it is actually true that there's a light shining over the world. We're trying to help very strongly in getting the hostages back, as you know, Israel, the Middle East. We're working very much on that. We're trying to get the war stopped, that horrible war that's going on in Ukraine, Russia, Ukraine. We're going to, we've got a little progress. It's a tough one. It's a nasty one.
Two things as he's talking about the world stage, which, of course, this is where he's going to be most judged by the people who voted for him. You're the guy who's going to keep us from war. You're the guy who is opposed to forever wars. This thing that has come across the populace, which almost plays to an argument of pacifism, which is, I think, a really bad argument. I got asked this over the weekend. I was at a couple different events over the last few days, and I don't know what it is that people can't just go to a party and just have a good time. I don't know what that is. I mean, maybe it's just an occupational hazard of mine, but you might encounter this depending on your line of work, where someone wants to ask you about work, and for me, that's about the political scene. Right? I came to drink somebody else's bourbon. I don't want to talk about the political scene in the slightest. But someone who I at least knew, and know well enough to say they can ask me a question, said, "Hey, do you think that the hostage situation in Gaza ends like the hostage situation of the Iranians when Reagan took office?" Now, for those of you who don't know what that is, the Iranians had taken Americans hostage, the embassy there, under Jimmy Carter, and these people were released when Ronald Reagan was inaugurated. And it was this show of America under Reagan was going to be strong, and they weren't going to put up with any nonsense from the Iranians, and the Iranians released the hostages because they didn't want to get destroyed. I argue the Iranians should have been destroyed right there. And then the Ayatollah, the mullahs, the hardliners, the clerics, all should be destroyed without question, without doubt. It should happen speedily and in my lifetime. Do I think the same thing is going to happen? Well, first, there's already conversations about the release of the hostages, because Americans are also being held, to the extent that I know of anybody still alive, which is awful. Any president worth their salt over the last year would have reminded Hamas that we're not going to put up with this. You've got 48 hours to release the Americans, or we're coming in. We're just doing this. And if Iran wants to try and stop us, we're ready for the fight. But the Biden administration, so desperate to stay away from the concepts of escalation, they allowed Americans to be held, to, for a lack of a better word, be tortured. That's what Joe Biden has allowed, with no movement to get anybody free. So I, by the way, don't believe that is the plan of Hamas, because it doesn't give Hamas any technical advantage, and it doesn't give Iran any technical advantage. If Iran's going to tell Hamas, release the hostages so Trump doesn't come after us, Trump's already going after you. You're going to get rid again of the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, right? The Iran nuclear deal, which was always garbage from the beginning, from Barack Obama, because Barack Obama is a fool on foreign policy and a danger to the country and to the world. What? Oh, please. There is no more mystique about Barack Obama. Barack Obama is a loser. Just like Nancy Pelosi. I wish her all the best. She fell in Luxembourg and broke her hip. That is not, that cannot be comfortable. I don't wish that on her. I just wish she wasn't elected. But in terms of her politics, an absolute loser. She has become, and so has Barack Obama, and has destroyed the Democratic Party, all for his own power goals, and screw them for allowing it, and that's the end of the ballgame. There are Republicans who feel that that's what you're going to get from Trump once Trump is out of office. I don't think it is necessarily the same. We can discuss that another time. But since the parameters for releasing hostages are different in these cases, I don't see Hamas doing so, because the hostages are the only thing keeping them alive. To lose them, to give them up because of a threat. Well, they're already under threat every single day. All their neighbors have been destroyed. Israel has torn them asunder. They just haven't finished it off, which I wish they would do already. But they're trying to get whoever's still alive home. They've been offering money for people in Gaza to find a hostage and bring them our way. We'll give you millions. Hasn't worked. I don't think the election of Trump is going to move it in that way. I'd be thrilled to be wrong. I just don't think that is the case there.
It's nasty. People are being killed at levels that nobody's ever seen. You know, it's very level fields, and the only thing that stops a bullet is a body, a human body. And the number of soldiers that are being killed on both sides is astronomical. I've never seen anything like it. And rapidly, I get reports every week, and it's not even, you know, it's not, just they're going down. Nobody's seen anything like it. It's a very flat surface, a very flat land. That's why it's great farming land. It's the breadbasket for the world, actually. But
That it is. Ukraine is the breadbasket for the world. He is accurate about that. This press conference hit a couple different subjects and played in a couple different spots, talking about foreign policy, talking about domestic policy, a host.
I've been working every day to put the world at ease a little bit, to get rid of the wars. We had no wars when I left office, and now it's the whole world is blowing up. But there's great optimism, and you saw that by SoftBank. Starting on day one, we'll implement a rapid series of bold reforms to restore our nation to full prosperity. We're going to go full prosperity and to build the greatest economy the world has ever seen, just as we had just a short time ago. We had it in my term. We had the greatest economy that the world had seen. We were blowing away everybody. Our country was doubling up on China, doubling up on everybody, and everybody knows it.
Focus where the focus should be is absolutely what Trump is doing in this press conference, and announcing the $100 billion investment from SoftBank is just a part of that. In the United States, things happening in the United States, business coming to the United States, kind of creating, and I'm surprised other people don't do this. I thought this was kind of standard. Create a self-fulfilling prophecy. Makes perfect sense to me. That's exactly what you want to do. You want to create the feeling that everything's going well, and this is the place to be, and this is where everybody should be. So seeing Japan put in $100 billion might over 4 years might get other people to say, maybe we got to put in a little bit here. Maybe this is a good place to do it. This is going to be the place to do business. This is going to be a place to build. And certainly you can argue, well, they're going to put it somewhere. Now it gives them an opportunity because they did a favor for Trump, and Trump will do a little something for them, whether it's the expedited permits or what have you. One of the other interesting things that came up was Trump was asked by the press, do you think that Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, is going to make Laura Trump, your daughter-in-law, the next senator from Florida to replace Marco Rubio? And he said, no, I don't think so. I mean, that's up to Ron. That's Ron's call and not mine, but I don't think that's going to happen right there. No, I don't see it. Oh, okay. Well, I find that very, very interesting, because I don't think she should be the next senator from Florida. But some other things Trump got into in this press conference matter, and they're going to make news in a very, very big way. One of those things was how Biden is selling parts of the wall. If you have been following the stories, you will see that Joe Biden and his team, which is to say Joe Biden's team, because Joe Biden does not know what's going on, they're auctioning pieces of the border wall. This, according to a report, you have video footage that was obtained by the Daily Wire. You got Nogales, Tucson, and 3 Points. These areas in Arizona, to get things sold before Christmas. Pennies on the dollar. Why in the world would you sell these things off? The wall is going to get continued. Things are going to be built. The only reason to sell them off is to force the United States to buy them again at the original prices when we already have spent the money. Now you want us to spend the money twice? That is some hateful stuff. And Trump, in discussing this, discussing how just unbelievably evil this is of the Biden administration to do. Well, Get in line if you want to talk about evil things the Biden administration is doing. Take a look at some of these pardons. Oh, I'll get in to some of the pardons. But this press conference was not focused on one particular subject, although I think the goal of it was to say, America, the investment is coming back. We're already bringing the economy back. The consumer confidence is already super high. We're doing great already for the country before we've even taken office. That's definitely the message he wanted to put out there. I've got more of this press conference and about this border wall situation coming up. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. What's going on, everybody? Good to be with you. Tony Katz. I am, you'll forgive me. I was listening to the press conference and trying to get it all in. And I could not get it all in. But I was trying my best to do that for you. So forgive me. I'm just a little out of sorts as I'm trying to put it all together. Glad to see everybody there. Don't forget you can comment anywhere that you're watching. I have no idea why this is not going to WIBC. That is super weird. I don't know why that stream is not working there. That is like the fifth or sixth time. That's a thing. I can't stand it when it doesn't work right. I think I have studio right, although I don't know if I have lighting correct. But like ta-da, or fancy. We have fancy drapery. Haha. Take that, call her daddy. Like she cares if I exist. No, went for the simple. I don't know, man. I think simple's where it's at for us. I think it's just who we are. I need a cigar. That much is obvious. I need to get that done. And of course, I'll answer any questions you have. Share comments. Share your comments with everybody. Respond to them. Get ready for what is next from this press conference. Well, no, I've got more on the press conference, but get ready for what I wanted to discuss next. Anyway, let me see. No, I've got the ABC story on defamation. I will get to that. I've got that coming up in a little bit. And the Tim Walz story, which I love. I love the Tim Walz story, so I'll get to that as well. Let me see if I can find this right here. There we go. I'll just take a shot of that. Boom. Beautiful. And comments. Love the Eat Drink shirt. Thank you, Greg. Eat Drink Smoke, the cigar and bourbon show that I do. We're on 89 stations across the country. So you can catch it eatdrinksmokeshow.com. Do I have that in a banner? Do I have that right there? There we go. I'll make one. Okay, so here's the update. I am absolutely hiring a director because I don't. Sarah does everything digital. If you haven't met Sarah's fantastic. I just don't think I can throw this on her. I think Sarah needs to have the stuff to be able to then utilize in other places. But I don't want to throw this on Sarah. I don't want to do that. I think it's just wrong. So I'm not going to do that. So yeah, I'm hiring a director. So if you have any skills whatsoever, Tony at TonyKatz.com. Let me know. And then there's a blood oath that has to be taken. Whole bunch of things. But yeah, we're hiring for 2025. It can't be you, producer Landon. You're doing the radio. You can't do both. So that's it. All right, let's get back to radio, shall we? The Californians are at it again. No, not in the bad way. They're trying to figure out how they can get out of this nonsense that is their state. Tony Katz today, bold plan for new California state that would allow residents to separate from woke blue cities. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. This is the story of Greater Idaho, where you have the people of the eastern part of Oregon saying, this sucks and we don't want any part of this anymore. How do we get out of here? And Idaho's like, we'll take you. And they're like, fantastic. But Oregon isn't going to let them go. This is like the creation of Jefferson. If you don't know the story of Jefferson, the plan was Northern California wanted to separate from California and create another state, 51st state. Jefferson. That's the day they wanted to do this. And that date was December 7th, 1941. Their plan for the state of Jefferson coincided accidentally. We were going to declare our independence as a proposed state on Pearl Harbor Day. And so they did not do it. They did not go about moving forward in this regard. Now, some people argue they actually did a couple days earlier and then Pearl Harbor Day happened. They're like, we don't want to go forward with being a state. We don't want to be seen as those people. Let's just leave it be. Nobody wants to be around Los Angeles County. No one wants to be around San Francisco. No one wants to be around these terrible people who won't recognize reality, that things are a mess. Homelessness is a mess. Crime is a mess. The wait for it, dignity of Californians is at an all-time low and costs are at an all-time high. We don't want to be around it anymore. We don't want you. So we want to go do it this way. Leave us be. And the state of California, just like the state of Oregon, is saying, nah, that's not, no, you're here. You're here forever. It's like King George in Hamilton. You know, it's not even you'll be back. It's you can't go anywhere. You belong to me. I'm happy to see it, because I'm happy for the reminder that people like Gavin Newsom need. California has all the possibilities of being great. California is this massive economy, and you're ruining it. You're the problem. Yet he keeps getting elected, so nothing's going to change. I'm Tony Katz. Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. I lost my shoe. I know. Doesn't happen on professional live streams yet here we are. So producer Landon, how much time do we have? Okay, so I got this comment, and I'm not sure what this is. More MAGA-driven hysteria. It will be used by Republicans to strip away more of our rights. A good distraction from cutting Social Security and veterans benefits, and also the inflation from the tariffs. Nothing burger, but then again, so is the Hunter Biden Russian-fueled hoax. John, I appreciate that you listen, even if you don't like what I have to say. I appreciate the comment. I speak for everybody when I say nobody knows what the hell you're talking about at all. Like no one has a clue as to what's happening here with this comment. Absolutely no one. So if you could, I don't know, explain it in words that make sense to people, that would be fantastic. I'd appreciate that greatly. Coming back to the show, don't forget to follow Twitter, Twitix at Tony Katz, and the YouTube channel as well, Tony Katz. Subscribe, download, do all the things. My gosh, I don't know, whatever they say to do that. I want to get into these Biden pardons. We're going to start breaking them down a little bit. There were 1,499 pardons, commutations, and some of these things boggle the mind. Now, I'll tell you that it's in any situation where a president is engaged in the pardon process, you're going to have something you disagree with. And to that end, there's a whole conversation that Andrew McCarthy had about pardons, and I think he is completely wrong. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. And it's this idea of whether or not we should have a pardon. Should a president have the capability to offer up a pardon to begin with? I answer yes. So Andrew McCarthy had written over in the pages of National Review, the pardon power, don't mend it, end it. And he had written this. He talking about the history of presidential pardons. So Articles 2, Section 2 of the U.S. Constitution, and how Hamilton, speaking of Hamilton, as I was talking about earlier, urged that a benign prerogative could be invoked in seasons of insurrection or rebellion, because, quote, there are often critical moments when a well-timed offer of pardon to the insurgents or rebels may restore the tranquility of the Commonwealth. If I were to translate that, I'd say the reason for the pardon is to bring down the temperature. And to bring down the temperature might very well be instrumental in the securing of liberty and of this young country, infant country that they were building. And one could argue, certainly, what we see of pardon power over the last 30 years is far different than what the value of pardon power could have been in 1792. By the way, the year Kentucky became a state, and 1792 bourbon, fantastic stuff. You should check that out. It's a little, I like to make the whole little cross-referencing there. When can your politics be connected with bourbon? And the answer is most times. Most times. The problem I see with the argument that Andrew McCarthy is making is that he does not like how the pardons have been utilized. But I would argue that in both cases, the pardon power is exactly what we thought it was, which is not political. although it can be used that way, and not legal, although it can be used that way, it is about the very concept, the American concept of compassion. That is the reason for the pardon. The idea that in America we can say something has gone on long enough. We can make the argument within the pardon that someone has served enough time. They've done enough to redeem themselves in the eyes of society. We can be people who say, you know what? This has gone on long enough. Go get on with the rest of your life now. And there's something wholly and solely and remarkably American about that. Incredibly American about that. You know, it's like the whole concept of charity. I would argue that charity, from its in its conception, is a wholly an American concept. Just like the idea of the club. When you take a look at, let's say, the writings of de Tocqueville, right, Alexis de Tocqueville, and Democracy in America, part of the thing that caused a lot of not consternation but surprise and just awe was the idea that Americans weren't waiting for their government to go get something done. They started a group, they started a club, got an organization together, and they solved the problem. They didn't wait for others. They just did the damn thing. Shocking stuff, because that's not how it happened. The act of charity, the idea that you would give to others as a part of your daily dealings. 10% to the savings, 10% to the collection plate, and you lived on the rest. And maybe people tithe more than that. Just the very concept was the idea that we can help ourselves. It wasn't government delivering the help, and it wasn't waiting on government to do that. So it became it's a very proactive move. Charity in and of itself is about proaction, not reaction. Now we see it, something bad happens and somebody puts up a GoFundMe and someone does this and hey, you can give it, right? Because an act of God, whether it's a hurricane or whatever, some bad act can happen and take place, and we want to help those people. But we have charities and ongoing and people being proactive, and hey, we can do something about, pick the subject X, come help us do something about subject X. That is unique. And it is indeed, as I discussed, a proactive move. I think the pardon fits into this very, very snugly. That its purpose is a reminder of being a compassionate nation. But I will not disagree that sometimes these pardons are sizzling hot garbage. This brings us to Joe Biden. Joe Biden engaged a pardon of a judge. One of those people is Michael Conahan. Michael Conahan was a judge in Pennsylvania. It was a nice write-up from hotair.com. The judge, one of the judges, amongst others, ordered to spend 28 years in prison for a bribery scandal that prompted the state's high court to overturn thousands of juvenile convictions. In one of these cases, the judge, is it Ciavarella? Ciavarella. He was convicted of taking $1 million bribe from the builder of a pair of juvenile detention centers in a case that became known as Kids for Cash. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court overturned approximately 400,000 convictions issued by the judge, saying he violated the constitutional rights of juveniles. Let's take a moment with this. These judges found somebody who built these prisons for juveniles and said, hey, it'd be great if these prisons were full. And that way, maybe we could build some more prisons for juveniles. And the judge said, how much are you giving me? Sounds good. And put kids in juvenile detention that didn't need to go there. This is a guy who just got a pardon. Conahan, who I'm just talking about, got the pardon. That's an insane thing to do. That is a radical, despicable pardon to have occurred. And as you go through nearly 1,499 pardons, commutations, however it is you want to describe them based on the specific case, we're going to find things that make us sick to our stomach. Just like we found in the days of Clinton and Mark Rich. Things that will make us sick. They are despicable. A despicable move. But then again, Joe Biden is a despicable guy. And I think it is, I shouldn't say I think. It is clearly very hard for people who are wrapped up in the progressive left to understand that what we as rational, normal people see as despicable, they can't see. And then they lecture to us about what it is that we notice as if we notice the wrong things. This is Tim Walz. And Tim Walz is shocked. Tim Walz thought his lack of wealth was a real flex against Trump. Quote, how did we lose to a billionaire? In order to understand what Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, the vice presidential nominee for president with Kamala Harris, is saying, you must first start from his point of view. Never mind the fact that he's a Maoist. The guy has never met a Chi-Com he did not love and want to be near, want to be like, want to emulate. This is who he is from beginning to end. Never mind the fact that Tim Walz is the weirdest human being you ever came across, except maybe for his wife. And he thinks he's coming across as a regular Joe. First, let's be clear. Americans are not so into regular Joes. I think that's a shock for some people. Americans want somebody in leadership who is different. Now, sometimes the regular Joe shines through, is able to cut through, is able to create an opportunity. But in the end, you want somebody who's got the brain power, who has had the success, right? Yeah, they know what they're doing. That's very, very true. But Walz stated in a conversation with Minnesota Public Radio, I thought it was a real flex when the Wall Street Journal pointed out that I might have been the least wealthy person to ever run for vice president. How in the world did we lose to a billionaire or a venture capitalist when we were making the case of a country attorney and a high school teacher? First, who in the world thought of Kamala Harris as a country attorney, the attorney general from San Francisco, who would not have been caught dead in the Midwest? How? But secondly, here's a great example of how disconnected they are from the reality. He thought that made him normal. He thought that was the thing that was going to connect. Look how normal I am. I'm just like you. Governor Walz, allow me. People just like me don't wave the way you wave. Now, I'm not much for impressions, right? If you're not watching the live stream, you can't even see the impression. Chris DeGaulle, radio host out of Philadelphia, does an excellent Tim Walz impression. But if you're waving, not, hey, like a Lady Di wave, but your fingers are they're beyond spread. It's beyond jazz hands, and it's jazz hands meets spirit fingers. Like that's my Tim Walz impression. And then you're doing it like it's not just a smile on your face. It's like I'm somewhat possessed smile on your face. So the hands are going and I'm already exhausted. I'm doing it in real time. I'm winded. So the hands are going and the fingers are going in opposite directions. And then you're smiling like you are in some kind of creepy clown movie. And all the while, you're kind of like doing a step ball change kind of kick to the crowd. That level of completely unmasculine doesn't signal regular Joe. Also not signaling regular Joe is when you decide to go hunting and all your hunting clothes look like they were just purchased from Cabela's. And you got them online because there's no way you actually went into the store. Doesn't connect. But what was going to connect? Oh, look at me. I'm not a billionaire like that guy. You mean that successful guy who had already brought the country a great economy and the country wants that back? You thought being a regular Joe was going to compete against that? Wow. I don't know what to say. I guess I guess those kinds of waves make total sense now. Somebody who would do that clearly thinks that his failed economy in Minnesota would be far better for America than Trump's success and people having more money in their pocket over 4 years. He was stunned. Glad he lost. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back, everybody. Good to be with you. Take a look. The pardons make me wonder what's going on in Biden's head. There's nothing going on in Biden's head. There's wind and tumbleweed going on in Biden's head. I don't even think that's rude. I think it's just outrageously factual. As a matter of fact, I don't know how anybody could think anything else. You think he's doing anything day to day in the running of the country? I think if someone believes that, they're out of their mind. Willful wanton ignorance right there. You got to want that. Yeah, we're following this shooting at a school in Madison, Wisconsin. Got it. This, we're getting only the basic reports right now, guys. Tony Katz today. This is a shooting in Madison, Wisconsin at a place called the Abundant Life Christian School. There are not many details out there right now, and any detail that exists right now is going to face changes, and a fair amount of them. The reporting is that there have been multiple injuries. A shooter is quote unquote down. This, according to Madison police, at this school is kindergarten through 12th grade. This is what we know right now. I'll have more on this. You can follow me on X, Twitix. They're at Tony Katz, and I will have the latest for you. And throughout the show, I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz today. Yeah, this is all I've got right now, guys. All I've got right now on this story. I only make the assumption that we're gonna know more in an hour than we do now. It's an active and ongoing investigation. So we'll have it. I'll have it on the radio show. You can tune in to WIBC.com. You can get the show there and listen to it there and be a part of it. I'm glad you are here. I'm glad you're part of the live stream. We're getting better. We're on to something. I like that. I like it quite a bit. I should do something about my hair, which is kind of like a mess today, but whatever. It's raw. Is what it is. I do not know what the reports are. There are tons of preliminary reports, and I have nothing yet to. I have certainly no comments. I have nothing yet to bring to the table on this one, except this is what we know right now. Multiple people injured. We don't know anything else. I'll have the updates for you as they happen. I appreciate you guys. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, TonyKatz.com, on the Twitter X. I call it Twitix. Tony Katz, I'd appreciate it if you would. Really would. And I'll be back with you guys tomorrow. Take care.